What brought us to CCA? Our son Tyler got to know a family by the name of Mishny.
And Eric Mishny is one of the oldest, or is the oldest in that family. And he and my son had been friends through other outlets. They were in Boy Scouts together. We were in a homeschool group together, but Eric was a little bit older than our son. But one summer, Eric, trying to earn money for college, decided to have a speech class, offer a speech class for homeschool students. And so my oldest two took that class. And from that point on, my oldest especially was hooked on communication skills and speaking, and he was just kind of a natural at that. We moved over to Indiana a few years later, and there was no CCA organization over here. And so we decided to start one, and along with another family. And that our daughter Rachel was not interested at all in doing this, but she's part of the family, so she had to come with us.
Yep.
We went to that first tournament, and she decided that she wanted to try it. And so from there on, she excelled at it. And so we were just thrilled because she's our quiet child. She's our more reserved introvert, and we never dreamed that this would be her thing. But that's how we got involved in CCA. Yep. And at his first tournament, he wanted to run.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to run away.
He wanted to run away, but it didn't take long before he was convinced that this was a good endeavor and that it would benefit our kids.
So the irony of it all for me is that all way back when, I was actually not in favor of CCA. And what happened was that Betty found, and she'll speak to that in a moment, she found a local club and they got involved, and then she wanted to do tournaments, and I said, honey, we don't make them play baseball, we don't make them do anything else, why would we make them do tournaments? And she said, just go to a tournament. And I said, all right. So we went to one tournament, I looked around and I saw everything, and I said to my kids, sorry, you're gonna be involved in CCA, and we've never turned back. So I owe it to actually my wife on why we're involved in CCA. Is that how you remember it, honey?
Yeah, I got asked to judge at a tournament in the Canton area. And I went and saw and refused to judge. I was scared to death. I said, I'll judge the juniors. I can do smiley faces. Seeing those students in their suits and their ties, and then watching them and observing them, and I thought, oh my gosh, we've got to get involved in this. They were so upset with us, but now, all these years later, out of college into their daily lives, they have said this was the one thing we did that made the most impact on them.
One of the first tournaments, my oldest son was giving a speech and he was scared to death. Mm-hmm. He was all dry mouthed and he was shaking. And by the end of his career, he's up there in final round and doing great because that's what it's all about. And they're doing presentations now and work. It's a life skill, but it's more than that. But at minimum, it's a life skill.
That's a primary reason why I'm still doing this even today. I believe in the kids, I believe in the program. I've seen, I can't tell you how many students I've seen where their parents have brought them kicking and screaming into the program, and 3 or 4 years later, they don't want to leave.
For us, it's a ministry. In very few ways, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for ministry in a Christian environment. And one of the things you want to know is when you're ministering is that you're making a difference. And we love kids, and we've always loved kids and families. But to watch a kid that comes into CCA at 7 or 8 years old, giving little junior speeches, and then watch them go all the way through, and when they, on their final day, this happened last year, on their final tournament, to hear them say, thank you CCA at the microphone, that's what it's worth it to us, because we know we've impacted lives in a way that you can actually see and touch that you don't always get in ministry.
How does CCA help the students beyond their time in CCA? I think the most important thing is their confidence level, their ability to communicate with other individuals, whether it's in their educational career, their first year in college, or even more importantly, when they step into that first interview for a job. They are confident in being able to communicate to other individuals, particularly adults, and they are able to persuade And in the case of that first job interview, you have to sell yourself in order to get that position. And debate is an excellent way to get that confidence.
But I think it goes even beyond that. I think it goes beyond the first interview and the job. I think it even goes into a family setting. So 2 of our 3 are married at this point, and the communication skills they have are not hurting them at all in their marriage and being able to communicate with their spouse and with other family members.
I'd tell parents who are thinking about getting involved, you will not find a finer group of young men and women than you will find at a tournament, at a CCA tournament. My son married somebody from CCA. I have a daughter-in-law because of CCA. If you want your kids to grow up around the kind of kids you want, and I know what that is, CCA is where they are.
At CCA, we take something that causes most people to be so afraid. We take public speaking, we take debating, sharing our opinions and our thoughts, and we put it in this atmosphere of love, acceptance, encouragement, and competition. And we cause our kids to just blossom in that environment. They grow so much from being a part of CCA. And it goes with them. This is what I always tell my students. It goes with you the rest of your life. You will use these skills, critical thinking, public speaking, you will use this every day for the rest of your life.